Favor. This is one more, please. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Otra Por Favor.
Otra, por favor.
Otra, por favor.
Episodio 34.
Let's go.
I finally remembered this time. I didn't get lost, and I was like, oh man, what the heck?
¿Cuál episodio es?
¿Cuál episodio es? So it's episode 34. How are you guys today?
Good, man. Good. Super happy, super excited to be here. I hope everybody's preparing for this cold weather front we're getting. It's getting chilly out there, baby.
Yeah. I think by the time this episode releases, it'll probably happen. Hopefully, we all make it okay, you know.
Hey, we survived 2021 February.
I know.
I think we'll be all right.
I think we were all right, yeah. However, I don't want to. I'm going to be out of town. And no, I am not pulling the Ted Cruz.
Yeah, you are.
Hey, you're the Ted Cruz, bro. Enjoy your tropical vacation.
I know.
No, we had planned this a long time ago. Like, for real.
So did Ted Cruz.
How are you guys today?
We're good, man.
Good. Let me pour a little drink here really quick so I can be, on the same.
What are we drinking here?
We got a little. You brought some Silker Brewing Co. The Marco IPA.
I think it's become a little bit of a Otra Por Favor favorite.
It's a very good beer, man. It has a little nice kick to it, and
I don't know about you guys, but I'm drinking apple juice. Babe, I'm not
apple juice?
drinking. This is apple juice.
O agua de riñón.
Agua de riñón. Agua de miedos.
Agua de miedos. I know, right? How's everything for you guys? How's your week been? How's in the new year? I know we talked about it, but how's everything for you guys regarding this year? Like, I know we're almost done with January, so
quickly, right?
It's crazy. Yeah, it's been quick. So for me, I've just been getting back into the routine of work, playing soccer with you guys, with friends, and working out and just getting back at, what I do to make myself feel good when I'm like here in Austin. Mm-hmm. So it's been good. It's been a good week for me. A lot of exciting things happening in the world of football. Hopefully we can get into it in a bit, but I'm a huge Premier League fan. So there's been so much action. It has become a one-horse race, but it's okay, man. I enjoy every match, no matter what. And we've also started playing again Sundays. With some of our boys from the Bailey guys.
Yeah.
And we finally got a win. It's our first win in a long time.
Oh, Sunday? Nice.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy for you guys.
Who scored?
Man, I know Cesar had like 2 assists, and he scored. He might have scored. Lalo scored, and we won 4-1. It was just like such a team victory, man. So we really needed it morally.
Yeah, that's good, man.
I heard there was a lot of subs.
For once, that's true. Usually we have less players than 11, and we struggle. That's the thing with Sunday teams, though.
Right.
A veces llega la gente, a veces no.
Depende qué tan crudos estén.
Yeah, we're definitely missing you guys, and I hope you guys can make it out there.
Yeah, I'll be able to cheer, but my retirement from competitive soccer and leagues it's already definite. No, I don't want to have another injury, pero ahí llego, voy con una cheve y tal vez de portero.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, hopefully I can make it one of these days. Hopefully it's closer to me than going all the way to Georgetown. But I'll be down to go.
They were playing a lot of games close to my house by Johnny Morris. So
lately they were playing at Georgetown, so I haven't been able to make it.
Honestly, I don't know how that league works. It's a Latin soccer league. We find out very late when we're gonna play, where we're gonna play, and they cancel for really weird reasons. But
que porque le dio una que porque está loco.
Porque es el bautizo del niño.
que el abuelito no sé qué, que no sé. That's good, man. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are playing again.
Yeah,
that's always a good sign,
What about you guys? How's your week going?
Dude, I've been good. This week has been pretty busy. Just working on, pricings for photography and stuff. So that's why I didn't go play yesterday. But And then
Get that bread, bro.
Yeah, man. Since I'm going out of town too, I wanted to get it out of the way so I can just worry about signing the contract when I come back. But yeah, dude, like so far it's been good, man. Just that. And now I mean work has been busy. You know, like financials. You have the end of the year, and then you have
taxes.
Get everything ready for taxes.
Yeah.
Such a scam. You know, you have to work to pay bills.
Right.
It's horrible.
You know, right?
Yeah, you're right.
What do you think we should do to change everything? Like universal income?
I don't know about that. I think, man, that's a little bit of a heavy question. I think we should get into David's week, and then we can revisit
And then we can
revisit it a bit.
Yeah, no, my week has been pretty good. I've been fucking busy at work. I had a game 2 in Dirt on Monday. We won 2-5 to 2. And like you said, you depend on all the players showing up so you can have a good game. And Monday, everybody showed up. So we had a lot of subs and extra people that actually helped us get the win. And yeah, the week is going pretty quickly like for me. So tomorrow it's already Thursday. One more day and we're done. It's crazy. And good thing my driver's license is expiring next month on my birthday. So I'm gonna renew it as a citizen. So
that's awesome, man.
Yes.
Yeah, my license is expiring too. That's what happens when you're an old 30-year-old.
There you go. Hey man,
so for those of you guys who don't know, David and I have very similar birthdays. I'm February 5th and he's 4th. Third.
Yeah.
So
coming up,
where the party at?
Yeah, we have to plan something big, man.
But make sure if we got a party, you gotta invite Udoka.
Udoka, yeah.
Oh,
hey, Udoka,
yeah,
we're gonna need a special treatment.
Shout out to my boy Udoka and all the exotic dancers out there.
Getting the bread.
He was he's one of my he's probably my only fan out there. That's weird to say it like that. He's my only fan.
Yeah, that is a little weird.
Literally and metaphorically.
No, but he is the only fan. No.
Dude, I still remember how he would be like, "No, Coke is the best." What are you talking about? You suck, David, compared to Coke.
No,
Coke has a mentality.
Hey, and I agree with him because he's right. He's right, man. Coke has the mentality and the body, has everything, man.
And Coke is like, body.
I know I can never match David and other players in skill, but my goal in anything that I do competitively is like, if you had to, it's life or death. If you would choose me on your team, all right, yeah, I want that guy. I want that guy on my team.
Ask CJ.
Go to war. Let's go to war. But man, let's get into it. What are we chatting about today,
dude? We are basically, you know, we like soccer, right? And we like talking about it. But there's so we're in a I would say we're starting to get more into the MLS because of Austin FC. And how much like of everything that has to do with the budgeting, roster and regulations and everything and all the rules, how much do you guys know about that?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm all like, I love the sport, and that's basically it for me. Like I don't look anything behind the screens or any finances regarding anything like that. I'm usually just, you know, me enfoco en el deporte, en los jugadores, en la táctica, en la forma que juegan, en los goles. Prácticamente todo directo al deporte, nada financiero, nada lo que pasa detrás de que puedes comprar nada de eso. Al final de cuentas me doy cuenta cuando ya están en la cancha y ese es como mi pasión. Yo nunca me enfoco en nada de eso. Y hasta cuando llegan los jugadores nuevos, por ejemplo, los veo porque aparecen ahora en social media, lo cual es muy fácil de exponer, hasta los rumores y todo, ¿no? Pero usualmente a los jugadores nuevos y todo, en la cancha es donde los veo por primera vez, por decirlo así, porque para saber que, viene y estamos tratando de hacer el contrato y todo eso, nunca me enfoco en eso. No. Soy muy malo para eso.
Yo también.
Well, I mean, before I get into it, I want to say, looking at David, say his response. Like, just got faded. He just got that haircut, that fresh cut.
Yeah.
Gotta give that shout out, man. It was looking tight.
Yeah. the barber shop.
Hey,
yeah,
goodness.
Christopher, thanks a lot, man. You're listening to. I know you're gonna listen to this episode because you were talking to me about the episodes that you heard and everything. Listen to them, and you're probably gonna listen to this episode. And shout out to Christopher that got my haircut, man. Great job.
Looks good, man.
Shout out to the barber shop.
You kind of look like a Puerto Riqueño. Like,
No, he said. He said you look Mexican. You're gonna get that Mexican haircut. He said, and I'm like, go ahead, man.
Tlacuache.
Let me have it.
Cut.
I was like, let me have it. And no, perfect job, man. I love that the
vibes.
He was there, the vibe, everything,
Yeah,
man. That he was cracking jokes and stuff, and it was a good experience. Recommend the barbershop for whoever wants to get a haircut. Go with them, man.
Dude, I took my brother-in-law to get his haircut last year, and it was Chris.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law, he had just, he's in college, so él le gusta estar desvelado, and I think like he had like, I don't know if he played poker the day before.
Oh.
He went, but he didn't have much sleep. But he needed to get a haircut because we're gonna travel, and I was like, dude, let's go, and then you get your haircut and whatnot. So we get there, and then Chris is all like, service and like, hey, how's everything, and conversation.
He wants to build a conversation.
And then and my brother-in-law, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm just so tired, I can't even talk right now, but I really like how it looks.
Hey, but that's how B is though. I know B, and he's
like straightforward, like,
yeah.
I'm over here like this dude right here. But I can overhear him say like, I'm sorry, just don't talk a lot when I'm sleepy.
Well, my bad for derailing the conversation, but I just felt like we had a shout out our boys.
Shout out to the barbershop. Abel, if you're listening to this, shout out to you, to Christopher. Thank you for giving me a great haircut, man.
And shout out to your cousin who brings the plantains to the parties, man. I'll never forget that. That's very unique.
And shout out to Chubbs. And we're gonna be shout out to Cisco for you. Then we're gonna be trailing like all the shout outs,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
everyone we forgot about. Shout out to you too.
I just want to say, Cisco, you're next, man. I'll be seeing you in 2 weeks because I promised.
Nah, you already booked the appointment?
No, but I'm gonna do it like in a week in advance.
Oh, okay.
So
I say you're gonna go in 2 weeks. I'm like, good luck with.
I'm gonna see how lucky I am. Hopefully, I get a good appointment. Good day.
Just hit him up, dude. Siempre pregunta por ustedes. ¿Cómo están el David y el Coque?
I promise.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude.
The other dude too.
I love that guy.
¿Cuál? ¿El puertorriqueño o Ru?
The soul.
Edgar. Also, man. Hey, speaking of, he was featured at Queer Eye. Netflix.
What?
Yeah, you didn't see it?
Nah.
Dude, he was I think it's episode 5 or 6. Which one?
That's the one. It was episode 5.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, dude. They were doing a makeover on a guy, and then they went to Old Soul y ahí de volada el Abel. ¿Qué le hago? 3 de maíz y 2 de harina. Te das paradas, dude. But yeah, so
back to the convo.
Back to the convo.
MLS, the structure. How much do I know? How much do I know of the rules and like all the financials behind it? And I'm gonna say I'm similar to David. I know very, very little. Mm-hmm. Earlier this week, Richie sent us a couple of links, a couple of resources, and honestly, I was overwhelmed with the amount of information, of rules, of regulations, of caps, of exceptions, of designated players, Adidas generational players, the amount of roster spots. It's a little bit too much for me that I need to digest it little by little. Hopefully, I want to take this season as an opportunity to really learn the MLS and the system, to understand it. Because like everything, I think the more you know about it, the more you're going to enjoy it, and the more you're going to understand why decisions are made. Because we as fans, we look at the decisions Wolf, Claudio Reina are making, and sometimes we're like, why?
We don't really know.
Why did he get this player?
Yeah, we really
why does this
don't
player
have any
like,
information.
Why did he make Ring
Yeah.
Why has Ring made a designated player now?
Yeah.
If we already had him, like, maybe they wanted to lock him up into a contract, for several years. There's a lot of things, man. But I will say that, this season's a good opportunity to learn. But I'm like David was saying, when I watch the game, I look at the players, at the tactics, at how they perform, and you kind of start to see patterns develop, and then you start to understand what works for the team and what's not working as from a fan perspective.
Right.
But the way I've always looked at the money has been in the negative connotation. For example, La Selección Mexicana. There's so much talent in Mexico. Sometimes you wonder why they call up certain players and why they play one player and not the other. So when I think about money in soccer, I see it in a negative way where I'm like, are they having this player here because he costs a lot of money and like the marketing is a marketing team and all this stuff making decisions over the soccer aspect? Yeah, and that's kind of why I look at it from a negative way. But I want to move away from that and kind of try to understand it a little bit better.
Right. Because, one thing to like say, we don't know much about it right now, right? Eventually, we're going to have guests that know more about it. And then it'll be good to like we get some more visual besides just a board or a writing, or like an article. But, yeah, man, like you were saying, it's the more you know about it, I think you're going to be able to enjoy more of the work behind what's going on. Because we can throw so many names out there, like for when you sign a player. But then there's all these rules that I was like, now that I hear those rules, I'm like, yeah, I think it makes sense. Why not bring that player? Although it is like for example, a lot of Mexican players, they don't really, unless they come like as a DP, and it's just the whatever they make in Mexico, what they will make here, like they wouldn't want to take the pay cut.
Right.
And
there's a lot of money involved. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's money involved, but also in a way where it's more budgeting wise. Like say you have what's called GAM, you have what's called TAM. So basically, the MLS, from what I'm understanding from my side, I could be wrong, I could be right, but it's just my understanding of what I was looking at is, the MLS is the one that controls everything, and all the teams are just like sub branches or branches of the MLS, or franchise. So they can't really move any foot or any movement or anything unless it's approved by
the MLS.
By the MLS.
Okay.
Right. I think one thing is I can see, like, say, as an accountant, I can see maybe everything they bring in and they talk about with all this budgeting more than caps and rules, this budgeting part. So one, they can cover the teams from not overspending, and there won't be like a huge disparity between the teams that can make it and buy something
like
in New York, LA,
like the big marketing teams, the ones that have more of a like financial
right, compared to like the teams
like bigger market versus
small market. Yeah, right. So I think that's in a way that makes sense.
To keep it more competitive,
but
even.
Let me ask you this then. So is that why there's like two different like tournaments going on in the MLS?
Well, there's what do you mean two different tournaments?
Like the East or West or whatever?
I think so, more because of the traveling part. It's say, for example, you have like a week game. Yeah. The travel, you don't want to have more, like, say if you have everything, every because the United States, it's a huge piece of land.
Right.
You don't want to have a Sunday game, LA against Seattle away, and then the next game is gonna be LA against New York, and then the next game could be LA against Florida, like Miami FC. So I think they were doing it more so just for land, like traveling purposes.
So then, what about when somebody wins the championship? Did they get any money? Did they get anything like that? Like, how in the other competitions they get millions or whatever.
Right. They get money, but however, I think I don't know exactly how much money they get, but I did more like learning about the teams that didn't do well. Then they get more what's called GAM. It's general allocated money, so they can build up their squad. Or a new team like Austin FC, you know, they had more GAM than other teams.
And then they also get picks in the super draft, right?
And they get the first pick in the super draft.
It goes in reverse order from the last place up to the
right, kind of like the MLS or not the NFL or what's the NBA?
And that was my next question. It's like more like American football.
Very similar to American football.
I see.
But one thing I don't like about that system, and I don't know too much about it, but from what I've heard is sometimes teams that aren't doing well, they make a decision to start to tank. Like you know what, this season isn't going well for us. Yeah. We're just going to play, our second, third string teams and maybe lose, but that's okay because we want to get that first pick. So that's a negative side that I see from that type of system.
Right.
And then also from a system that doesn't have relegation like the EPL. And that's one thing to me that makes the Premier League so exciting, because I'm watching games of like the last place teams, but they're playing for their life because they know that if they don't get the points, they're out.
Yeah.
And that second division in England, they're not going to have a market. They're not going to make money as a team. And
but even the second division in England, it's kind of like the first division in Mexico.
No, it's like a really competitive league, right? Yeah.
So, well, here's the one thing that like I assume they don't have relegation to attract more investors to the league.
Yeah,
that could be one thing. Which it's wrong, because at the end of the day, it should be, you stay in the league because of a merit base. Like you don't want to be last place. And like you said about the super draft, in other sports, you kind of want to tank so you can get the first draft pick. But because there's so much research on players, like and like say college football, you already have an idea who might be the first
pick,
draft pick, or in the NBA too. But in our side, in soccer, everything that builds from whenever you want to have a new player comes from your own academy. So I don't know how, for me, it's okay, we have the super draft, right? A player coming from college, he did everything great. He did whatever he could, to make it better. For example, for us, this past season was Danny Pereira. He was our first draft pick. It was pretty good. I mean, for what we got, he was very good. For how they set it up, and I think they're starting to pay more attention on the super draft pick and this having more meaning. Because it's my first time like last week, like checking out the super draft pick and who's gonna pick, when and what time. That's how we knew Kip Keller.
Kip Keller's a selection that Austin FC made on the super draft.
I think it was like 5th round or 6th round.
I think it was 5th round, but Keller was projected to get picked first.
Right.
So that I was surprised to hear that we actually got him. I don't know how it worked out.
So the thing is, well, from my hearing, right, is that we're expecting a lot from that player.
Right. But the thing is, now we have the academy players. Players that come from from our lower, not divisions, but younger players.
Right.
How much impact is a younger player gonna do compared to a super draft or a drafted player? Like what? Like say the pressure, because like whenever and for us when we watch soccer for so long, we already know players that come from academies or las inferiores. And if this is a good player, little by little le tienen como más, no es más presión, pero más como proyección.
Quieren ver más siempre de él.
Más siempre, sí. Right. And then whenever you look at like who's gonna be, like for me is who's gonna have more projection, our homegrown player from the academy or the player from the super draft pick. Right. For example, last season, which kind of worked out well for us, we had Mackenzie Graves. He came from the academy. And then we have Danny Pereira that came from a draft. I mean, they ended up being actually very good. But now, other teams, how well has that worked out for them, And it'll be good to see us from the past 10 years. Where's that super draft first round pick? Like, where's he at?
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like an evolution in a way,
Right,
like
right.
the player has to evolve to actually become that player. Like you said, from an academy player, you can just expect so much from him, But
Right.
from a super, what do you call it?
Just a draft pick.
Just,
Just
okay,
a
draft. Yeah,
Just a
you're
draft
expecting
pick,
more
yeah.
because they're considered already being a pro and playing in different teams, right?
Well, here's the one thing. ¿Cuál está más preparado? ¿El jugador de tu academia
Mm-hmm.
o el jugador que viene con un...
Con más estructura, por decirlo.
Digamos que competitividad.
Por eso.
Pero yes, and that's the one thing I was like thinking about like yesterday, and I really thought about it till like before I go to sleep, and I was like thinking, who would have more of an impact and
the academy player is probably gonna be younger. We know that, right?
Right.
And then the draft player is gonna be a little bit older, más un poquito más acabado, ya más corrido, right?
Well, I mean, now he's young, it's like what, 20? It could be 20, like college, 22, 23, 24. Like, what's the average
Draft
age
player.
for a draft player, Kobe?
Well, draft players are coming out of college, so it's like after their last year of eligibility. I think they're at 4 years, like 22,
23. So I mean, it's still fairly young.
Dude.
Yeah, still. So and the one thing with the academy player is it can be like Owen Wolf, 16, 17, and he's already making his debut.
Man,
But it's just I feel like right there it's just mentality then.
Exactly.
You know? More knowledge of the game,
Right.
more like, I don't know. I mean, it's confusing.
it is.
To me, it's confusing.
For the fan coming at it from the outside,
Yeah.
coming in, this can be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
This is strange. This is strange. Like, either it can make you lose interest, or sometimes it can do the opposite. It can make you more curious and want to ask questions. And I think us here at Otra Por Favor, we're people that like to ask questions. So we're definitely taking it upon ourselves to know a little bit more about this.
Right.
But one thing kind of crazy I wanted to talk about is all this youth and how players develop, how things go. And we talked a little about the EPL. I was watching West Ham versus Leeds. Crazy game this past Sunday.
Good game, yeah.
Hat trick scored by this guy, Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison. And this dude has a crazy story because he was born in England. He was part of the Liverpool Academy. He played in the Manchester United Academy with Rashford. His mom, single mom, decides to take him out because she doesn't think that his chances of succeeding are not good there. So she takes him out and he moves to Boston.
Man, you're in the
New
US.
England.
yeah. In the
Dang. Okay.
And I think he played for New York FC. He became a professional. He went over to Europe, and now he played for Leeds. He scored a hat trick.
That's crazy.
They won 3-2. So like that type of move, like how many people would make that move to say, I'm in the Manchester United Academy?
What makes you make that big
decision to say, hey, you know what? I have a better chance if I go to the U.S. So something about the U.S. system has to be working for having a story like Jack Harrison.
Right.
This league, although I personally don't understand it 100%, it has something special about it that I think is creating a lot of talent in the Bundesliga and the EPL. We're pumping a lot of people over there, and the CDI.
Here's one thing that, like, say for example, every time I would hear, someone talk about projections of the level of gameplay for the US, they were always gonna say like, oh, it's gonna be top 5 in the world.
Right.
Back in the days, I started to really not, but now, dude, because of what's going on, I mean, the players that they're pumping out, and the thing is that the structure. Now, let's say you have players that there's a minimum you have to pay them regardless.
Right.
Like, you cannot be underpaid.
Right.
Just to keep a player, I mean, a professional, to have them paid consistently, that alone right there, it's a motivation for a player to be professional.
Right.
Where in like, I don't want to be bashing on Latin America, but like, say we heard stories about Veracruz, we hear stories about teams in different countries where players don't get paid, and they have to go to El TAS, which is the arbitrary committee that settles a lot of disputes among contracts.
Right.
One example, Cecilio Dominguez. There's still, from what I read a couple days ago, the money owed from the Independiente to America, it's still owed.
That's
now,
crazy.
Cecilio's getting paid here, so
Obviously.
I mean, I think he's in a good
That's why
place.
he's staying here.
But it's just the player itself. How much are they getting paid? I mean, if you're a star over there, like in Latin America, te van a pagar bien. But the ones that are below, how much are they actually taking care of?
What's their actual pay?
Yeah. And then one thing is like, say, I mean, if you look at even the academies, how like when Tony came, he talked about how sometimes they go and they treat the academy players better than some professionals in Mexico.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like, it's the MLS experience. It is crazy how many rules they have, but it's working out for people because it's becoming super attractive.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
No, definitely. I think there is something to be said. There's some value in the system. Looking at it from another side of the coin, I do think in this country it's very expensive to play as a youth. Coming through the system, playing club soccer.
Yeah,
some of the fees are at a reach for a lot of communities, and that's one of the biggest issues that I personally dealt with, and I saw a lot of my peers deal with in Houston, going through that system, going through the club system. Is like, I saw a lot of talent that maybe wasn't given the opportunity to really succeed, and the people that went on to try out for certain academies and get that sponsorship, get that scholarship, or it's few and far between. A lot of people, they're not immediate talents. Some people are late bloomers, and I personally feel that's one thing that could probably be improved. And it's interesting, I was listening to I think it was a Men in Blazers podcast, and it was talking about the FC Dallas Academy. It's supposed to be one of the greater academies in the country. They made the one you probably heard about recently is Pepe over there in the Bundesliga doing his thing now. Augsburg, yeah. But the guy who's running it, I forget his name. Hopefully I can find it later. But one thing that he said is that Texas is situated in a very great place of talent, because you have the infrastructure, you have the system, the facilities, the clubs, the competition, but you also have the Latin American population who loves the sport, who just absolutely the sport is life, and that perfect mixture can create some of the greatest talent you will see. And it's cool to hear that. It makes me feel good to hear that, and I get a lot of pride in hearing that, because you see guys succeeding in the world, in the game, that come from similar backgrounds as yourself, and it fills you with a sense of pride. So.
I think, say for example, talking about how much it costs to play in the club level here. There's foundations that we've seen, for for ATX Foundation.
For ATX, one of their leaders.
I'm thinking other teams would have something similar, but it'll be good to have a player come out from the foundation specifically, because then that will show how much connection the team is doing with the community. So it won't just be like an after-school program where you have mindfulness, which is great, but actually be a plan to where if you have a player that you think it's good, I mean, sometimes it's gonna take a little more than just seeing them one or how many days do they see a player during the week?
They would have practices and sessions up to 3 times a week, I feel. Yeah. and at different schools and different times.
But
sometimes they'd have weekend events too. But
I
that foundation is like that type of program is more of a like an after school to give people that space to play soccer, but also grow as a person.
As a person, yeah.
So I think what we're trying to get at is something different, more towards that competitive level,
right?
To help those achieve who maybe don't have the opportunity,
right?
To give them that chance to play at a highly competitive level without having to worry about the financial side. Because once you worry about that, many times like the families don't have like it. It's enough to have basic living expenses to have to include club expenses, which can be ridiculous amounts of money.
It's expensive. And I can talk about that because when I was younger, I played different clubs. And luckily, my mom was a single mother for like 3 of us. And obviously she didn't have enough money to actually pay for a club for me to play, right? But luckily my talent helped me. Well, I'm just saying because when I was younger, I had a different kind of thing, you know, and
a different kind of thing.
We're gonna call it that. And clubs, you know, I was luckily for them to actually pay for me to play there. And obviously I wasn't getting paid any money, but they were paying all the fees and everything for me to play there.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have the talent and you got to have will too, because you can have the talent, but you got to listen to whatever they tell you to do.
Yeah.
You know? You can't be just stubborn kid that wants to do whatever you want when you're on the field, right? You can't do that. You have to be manageable. And luckily I was that type of kid, you know, and luckily I got sponsored and everything to actually play. But I mean, that ATX or whatever
for ATX.
Yeah, for ATX Foundation that you talk about. That's fairly new though. It barely came out, I'm guessing, because I never heard of anything like that.
Right.
Usually was you go to a club that if the club sees that you have talent, you can be managed. They'll help you and then they'll sponsor you and pay for whatever you need and they make sure you play for them. You know.
I'm thinking more like in a perfect scenario, like one player could come out of that. You know,
I'm saying it can happen, but they need to like
because then that will come like say directly. What I'm saying is, like I know it's the purpose of it is not to scout players,
right?
But I'm thinking, how much impact would it do in a team or like say for the community if a player gets, you know, found, like a hidden gem gets found through that, you know, through a weekend program, after school program. Like how much more do you think it would motivate other kids to know, like, oh man, este vato la hizo, and you know what, I maybe I have a chance. I mean, maybe I'm gonna have that will, you know, to work hard.
Bueno, para nosotros como latinos, ¿no? Tenemos las experiencias como de Lionel Messi, tenemos las experiencias como de Pelé, tenemos las experiencias como de Ronaldinho, de cómo un niño de escasos recursos agarra su sueño de jugar fútbol, que era lo que amaba, que era lo que practicaba todos los días, y cómo una persona se fija en ese jugador y dice, no, este jugador va a ser diferente, tiene lo que tiene para ser diferente. Y lo agarran, ¿no? Y le dan la oportunidad de, hey, vente, te vamos a entrenar, no tienes que pagar nada. Y le dan la oportunidad. Porque, sinceramente, yo he visto muchos jugadores menores que yo y muy buenos, muchísimos mejor que yo, cuando estaba joven, en ese tiempo. Y digo, ¿por qué no les dan la oportunidad? Esos chavos tienen con qué, tienen para ser mejor, tienen para dar mucho, tienen para dar mucho sacrificio y hacer su sueño, ¿no? Pero tienes que tener siempre esa persona que anda en busca de talento. Y a lo mejor aquí en la MLS, por ejemplo, no sé si hay personas así. Porque si tú vas a Latinoamérica, por ejemplo, encuentras muchas personas que andan hacen su trabajo, ¿no? Ir a diferentes lugares donde hay un partido de fútbol, de cascarita, o lo que tú quieras, y ven a esa persona única que está haciendo algo diferente que los otros están haciendo.
Visores.
Claro. Y ahí dicen, no, ve, mira, tengo uno, ¿qué crees? Sí, vamos. Y empiezan el proceso, lo entrenamos, a ver si, como dije, let's see if it's manageable, because you have to be manageable to actually become something bigger. If not, they will destroy it.
That's the key too.
Yeah, they would just throw it out.
Talent is the beginning.
Right.
But it's just discipline,
exactly.
Moldability,
Exactly.
your ability to learn and
listen.
What the team is telling you, what the coach is telling you, be able to apply it.
Exactly.
It's a different thing.
Exactly.
It's a different thing.
Now, I think that's a good. It's funny because we went from just thinking about budgeting and regulations and thinking about like what can happen in the community, and that's good. And I think hopefully we get something out of what we talked about, more so in the community, like you were saying, that there could be that opportunity for a kid, but a kid also has to put in his work.
But you gotta remember too, Richie, like Austin FC just came out.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take a little while for
it's gonna take years for that to happen.
So, we gotta be patient for that. And maybe like, I don't know, maybe in 10 years we'll see somebody come out of that and then be like, oh shit, we talk about this.
Yeah, and kind of going back to MLS and their structure, they do have some incentives for homegrown talent. I know that kind of frees up some allowable budgetary aspects of how much allocated money the team has from what I understand. So hopefully, in a few years we can see some of that homegrown talent start to show up on the pitch and kind of help us out on the financial side, but also on the motivational and inspirational side for someone young out there in Austin, saying that, hey, look, there's someone that was like me, that came through the academy, was from Austin. He's a professional now, and they're doing it. That means I can do it too. So so that they can serve as examples and just
motivate people
to do that and understand that it's possible.
And we already have that person, dude. Like literally Pepe Rangel. We already got someone that can do that. It's just a matter of time. But I hope we get an opportunity to because of experiences of what he sees, he can be a link between the team and the community.
For sure, and that's the key word, community, and it's a network, and that's what I love so much about Austin FC is that they really focus on being true to what that means, establishing roots within the city of Austin. And you see it in what they do with the community events and the way that the fan clubs and the fan groups have engaged with the artistry, with even social causes in Austin, such as homelessness, with the new merchandise that they're coming out with the scarves, with shout outs to certain icons of Austin, and just trying to see it as a whole, because it's easy to look at soccer just results based, but I think what's beautiful about Austin FC and the community around is that we kind of widen the lens and start to try to see how we can improve and make things a little bit better for everybody.
Right. And one thing like from us is just to learn more about the league, learn more about some stuff that when we talk about, why a player can come or can't come, we can look at those budgeting things first. Yeah. And I think that's going to help us not just throw out names out of nowhere,
Yeah. And in previous weeks, and not only you guys, but with other of my friends, it's always been the thing, like,
which I wish, pero
it's a valid argument, but looking at these rules and looking at how the money is allocated, how things work, and understanding how much Mexican players are sold for, and what they want to get paid. It's not easy.
No, especially what they want to get paid. That's the one thing. And I think like this is where the community part kicks in, porque hay mucha raza aquí, and I think if we can find that link, just that one link, it can change a lot of things for the league, Austin FC, for us.
Yeah.
And our community, Now, another thing that I want to talk about is we don't have a relegation. We don't have no tenemos ascenso y no tenemos descenso. So it's very one-sided type of league.
Yeah.
And with the allocations, if you do not well, you get a little more, money, so you can build up your squad. What would you say? How is it a benefit for you when you look at the fact that you don't have relegation as a fan?
I mean, as a fan, it's easy. It doesn't matter if you lose all games, you're still gonna be competitive next season.
Right.
I mean, it's in other leagues you gotta watch out because if you're not in between the number of teams that can be in that league, you're out, brother. And you gotta restart. Sacó el tanque.
Sacó el tanque.
And I mean, I would say that's the good thing about not having a relegation.
Right.
It's that you don't have to worry about not competing against
Right.
the same teams again next season. And I mean, in other leagues, for example, people that stay in the league get money regardless, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whichever place you are in.
Right.
But in this team, Richie, did they get anything? You were talking about getting like first pick and all these things.
They do get more in the GAM, I think.
Okay.
More on the general allocation.
Mm-hmm.
Targeted is more when you want to get like an expensive player.
There you go.
But they do get a little more, Si te va mal, pues ahí te echan la mano.
And you see that's the thing too. In other leagues, you really don't have that shit.
Yeah.
You don't have money, get your player. That's basically it. So I mean,
now
it's pretty straightforward. I feel like.
And that's the one thing. Like, say, when you don't have relegation, you don't have, because I think there was a study in 2017-16 by Deloitte and Silva Group. I think that's the group that owns the owner of Miami FC.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to, there was a debate about having relegation and not having relegation.
Mm-hmm.
And for them, it was just like, instead of detracting investors from coming in,
mm-hmm.
it's actually going to increase it because it's going to show more competitiveness. And the teams are going to be better.
Not having relegation or having relegation?
Having relegation.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm with that because it's going to make the teams try more.
Yeah, I'm 100% with that too, man.
Yeah.
Just looking at the table of the EPL, like,
yeah.
You got Norwich, Newcastle, Burnley at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They're about to be relegated. But you have Leeds, Everton, and Watford almost right there. They're like 10 points apart.
So basically what's happening is all these other leagues in Europe have relegation, but the only one doesn't is MLS, right?
No, well, the Mexican League for 5 years.
The Mexican League just got rid of relegation.
For like 5 years.
But you see...
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be like in the next couple of years.
It's
but
gonna come back.
Now. But the thing is, like, let's say, for example, with relegation, like say in England, it's different because you don't really hear, maybe I really don't pay much attention to it, but there's not really much of a financial struggle between the clubs because they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
they're rich. They're good at balancing their budget.
Makes sense.
In England, it's also the biggest sport in the country. So they probably have way more capital than the MLS.
Don't you think in Mexico will be the biggest sport?
That too. That's why I don't know too much about the Mexican structure either. I don't know why they got rid of relegation.
I think it's from what I've heard, it's just to cover the teams that weren't doing well, that could have been relegated, like Cruz Azul, Chivas, America at one point, like in 2008.
All these big teams going through really tough times and tough years. They don't want those big market teams to get relegated.
But it just recently changed, though. You see, and it's for, what do you call it? For benefit of these big teams, though.
Right.
In a way.
Porque si, aunque la regaste, you can be able to stay.
Compete.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. But now they have to pay a fine.
Like a cheat, I don't know.
But it's literally it's I mean, you make someone slack. Like you become a league of slackers when. And I'm not saying like, let's say for example, like Mexico's doing it for so long, they had relegation for so long, and now they take it away. It's kind of like you're making the teams a lot more like slack off.
Basic.
Like you don't play well until La Liguilla.
It's funny how like money changes your perspective on things, because even my dad, man, my dad's a small business owner. He has a soccer store in Houston,
Right?
Jorge Sport.
Jorge Sport.
Jorge Sport.
And
hey man, what's up with the shirts?
hey,
We need to get some Jorge Sports.
I got a story for that. I'll save it for later. But even he looks at games now with the financial lens. So when America's doing well, he's happy. I'm like, Dad,
He's selling.
I'm like, you're a Chivas fan. What's going on? He's like, nah, en America vende.
Yeah, he's selling his shirts.
Chivas doing well. He's like happy because Chivas vende.
Yeah.
But you have
Well, not even Tigres.
you have Pumas doing well. Like some of the smaller market teams, like they don't sell. Not in Houston. Not in the neighborhood. So
Yeah.
he looks at it from that lens, and I'm like, do you even enjoy these games anymore? Or are you just like looking at the dollar bills?
Yeah.
Well, but he's also going with the game, how it's changing,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they
Right.
took relegation and so he's going with that too, and trying to like market in a way that he can still make money.
For sure.
So
But dude, it's what would you do if you were in charge of the MLS?
if I was in charge, I would include that relegation
The
thing.
relegation.
Yeah, because it will make it more competitive, more like people will want to see it more. People not just from the US but different countries. And it will just give that extra push for the players, for the teams, for the whole whatever it's behind the scenes that you don't see when you're watching a soccer. Like it would just increase that, and I feel like I would change that if I had the power right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think relegation would have good impact.
It would be a good.
Now it would the investors would. That's the one thing they'll just. Well, yes and no, because like here in the US is different on how every sport is. You look at like you watch sports, right?
Well, it's different because there's so many sports that people watch.
And then one thing, like let's say for example, like I haven't lived in Mexico, so I mean for years, but here for example, if you have an event going on, you're gonna still get a good amount of people that are gonna go regardless. Now the one thing I would say, like the Austin Bowl, the reason why people didn't go is because it was far away.
It was,
but I'm pretty sure we had the Austin Bowl very close to UT Stadium or like more central, you will have more of a pool of people. But I mean, there's still so many suburbs out in the US that, at USL, it's starting to grow, but I think it's just, it would be good to have it, but also going to be how much of a quality you're going to have, or how much more you're going to get people from not investing and really putting money in the MLS. But then again, it's going to bring competition. Like you're going to have to be on your toes.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure some rules are going to have to be, changed so you can have that level of competitiveness, because if you relegate a team that's like right now, for example, I don't know any team that's struggling financially, but a team that right now is barely able to pay the salary cap or, take care of the players financially. If they relegate, they're going to lose like brand deals. They're going to lose a lot of things. So whenever you have to pay your players, the minimum pay is going to be a lot less than what it is right now, which is, I think it's like 82,000. I don't know how much more lower it would be, but it would just change the dynamics. It will be a lot more competitive, and especially for the region, you're going to have a lot more. I mean, the games between MLS and La Liga MX, like in a Conca Champions, they're starting to get good.
Yeah.
They're starting to get very good.
The gap is closing.
The gap
I
is
mean,
closing.
you got to remember too, the MLS is like fairly new too. Like, you know, it's, I don't know exactly how, you know, when started.
1996, that's already a good, almost 30 years. 28, 29.
I still remember
still,
the
like,
days where
it's
they did
pretty
the shootouts.
Yeah, you see, like,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like, I never even knew about that type of finish to a game until I think I was like high school soccer. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna do a shootout."
I know.
I'm like, oh, PKs? Nah.
I know. I was like, when I had that, the first thing I was like, "What do I have to do here?"
Yeah.
He's like,
he's like, "Just watch
the midfield, and then
watch. What do you got to do?" And I was like, "What? What is this?" You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, we're getting better. It's changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's changing. So I don't know, maybe 10 years, and that's we're having this conversation. I'm saying right now, and then maybe 10, 20 years later, they might have relegation, and it's gonna be different, you know.
And I'm not gonna lie, man. Every MLS stadium that's been built, even though they're smaller at times, man, they have good stadiums, like good stadiums for the amount of people that go. I feel like the smaller the stadium, pero si lo llenas, it's a lot better than the 50,000 people stadium, and you can barely have 10,000 there. You know.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of thought that goes into the design of a soccer specific stadium, and you know, one thing that some of the design constraints to the Q2 stadium is like, okay, so we're building a stadium in Austin, really hot weather. It can be pretty uncomfortable during the hot seasons. We get a lot of months that it's like 90 plus degrees. So one of the decisions that was made is like to have ventilation, like allow that wind to come through. They could have decided to add more seating, but they're like, you know what, we're gonna keep it at, what is it, like 20K, 22K,
give or take.
That amount of capacity, but we're gonna
Depende cuánto se meten.
We're gonna have it in a way so that
Cuánto se saltan la borda.
you can have some free flowing wind, and when that breeze
hits
hits you
good, man.
in the hot months, you're thankful. And also like the sound level, I was surprised of how it feels to be there.
The acoustics.
When everybody's cheering, everyone's doing the chants, you hear the instruments, it's the drums banging and banging. It feels like you're in a packed house. Like you feel that advantage versus you can imagine a large stadium like you said, and it just doesn't feel the same. Or a stadium that's designed for football that just happens to accommodate soccer for certain times of the year. It's not the same.
Imagine having the UT game, the Austin FC games at the UT Stadium.
It would be ridiculous.
It would be weird. Like at one point, my dad asked me like, "Hey, do they play games like at the UT Stadium? It's big." And I'm like, maybe La Selección can fill it up, but I don't know about anyone else. And then I told him, but there's Round Rock, and I mean that's already having like friendlies there, and I mean people will show up. But man, it's just the what they're doing, and I think even MLB, there was the Phillies. They downgraded the size of the stadium, and they made more revenue in the new stadium than the old one. Now I don't know how it is right now because I was 2009 when I heard about that. But it's just, I think the MLS is going to a direction that, you know, at first it's weird, but then it kind of makes sense.
And it's probably not weird. It's like, it's new to us. We don't really understand it. That's what it is. And once you get to like, get to know the rules, you know, because that was a big thing for me. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know this, you know. You can only have like 3 international players.
3, I don't know how many international players, but designated players I think are 3.
3. You see, and it's like, oh shit, like, and I'm talking shit here and I don't even know, right? But
we're over here, hey, wait, trata al Messi.
Right. But it's like, it's because we don't know. We say things, right?
Yeah.
And once you get to know the rules and what goes into what, it explains it to you better, and you get a better understanding about the league.
Right.
That's why it read, man.
Right.
Read.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Shout out Claudio Reina. Hopefully one day we can have him and he can explain. He can give us the down low.
Yeah, I think now that we know more about like what's going on, we kind of understand why we'll make some decisions. But
yeah, I mean,
we'll see. We'll see this
I know,
next
right?
season.
Like the team is new. Everything is new to us too. So we're learning. But it's a process. So
we're excited as fuck for this new season, man. February is coming up soon. February.
Atlas is gonna play
February.
Austin FC on the 15th.
No, not to be biased, but February is the best month of the year, bro.
yeah,
I'm just gonna tell you right here. Shortest month, very few days, but most special.
The best days. You know.
What do we got upcoming this February? What do we have? We have World Cup qualifiers.
Right.
We got the champions back.
Right.
We got the start of the Austin FC season.
Yeah.
I'm an NBA fan, so you got the All-Star break.
Yeah, you got my birthday coming up.
We got a couple birthdays. We got the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Hey, are they gonna play it in?
We got
and it's also Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Shout out to my wonderful wife.
Are you guys big on Valentine's?
Yeah, dude, we like to do a little something. Sometimes not on the specific day because it's stupid.
I like the day
Stupid.
after when you can get everything on discount.
We can do we usually do the day after or the day before.
Yeah,
just to avoid like the fixed menu and like the stupidness of
man. We were before we close this episode, we're gonna go to Estancia because we made a reservation.
Estancia
by Great Hills.
Wait, is it a restaurant?
Yeah. It's like that's churrascarías.
Oh, yes.
So we get there, right? And there's a big ass line.
Yeah.
We're like, hopefully this is only for people that didn't make a reservation.
Shit.
We're like, hey, we have a reservation for 2.
Get in line.
Oh, yeah, you have to wait in line. Oh, shit. How much did they wait? About 30 minutes. We waited 30 minutes. Another hour because they were overbooked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. We ended up going somewhere else. And then my brother-in-law, Tree, he's like, hey, you guys should do a job review and tell them what really happened. So we did a job review, and they sent us a gift card for 2 free meals for dinner, saying, like, apologizing. Because I think for them, they'd rather keep the customers than forget about them. So we ended up going, like, a year later and redeemed those, like, those 2 free meals. I mean, like, 2 free meals, $50. Let's go,
What, a year later, you said?
A year later.
Oh, shit.
We redeemed it. That was in early 2017. And we redeemed it in 2016. And we redeemed it like late 2017.
Oh, shit.
But it was badass, dude. It was badass. But yeah, man. February is gonna be a month that a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, my birthday's coming up. So
David,
gift cards.
What are we gonna do for your birthday?
Dude.
What are we gonna do for y'all's birthday?
How old are you turning, David?
We're the same, bro. 31, man. We're getting there, bro.
Hey, 31, but we feel 21.
No, I'm 20. I say I'm 20 usually, but
El tío.
el chavo ruco,
El chavo rico. But hey, thank you for listening to another episode of Otra Por Favor.
Otra Por Favor.
I think as the season, I do want to come back and talk more about the budgeting rules and stuff.
Yeah.
After the transfer market is closed, because then we can talk about the players and how the allocation of the money was used. Hopefully we can have some guests that would come and explain a little more about
help those more a little bit.
Yeah.
Understand it better,
So hopefully we have a couple of we have a couple of invitees in mind, and hopefully we can get it done by then. But yeah, ciérranos y a ver si tienen algo en mente.
Yeah, no, pues gracias por escucharnos. Acuérdense de seguirnos siempre en Instagram. Denos un like. Acuérdense de mandarnos un mensaje directo para decir si tienen una idea o algo que quieran que tratemos aquí en la plataforma. Van a ser muy agradecidos. Y no, pues muchas gracias por seguir escuchando. Estamos ahí en Spotify, en Facebook, en YouTube. Síganos y ahí estamos. Y muchas gracias.
Yes, sir. Thanks for listening. Please share, like with your friends and family. Give us a shout if you have any suggestions, any questions, any comments. Hit our inbox, Otra Por Favor, on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. Thank you.
Hey, y'all take care y pórtense bien, raza. Adiós.
Chao, chao, chao.
Relegation.